This week on my channel, we've been doing a deep dive in different super investor portfolios. We've talked about Warren Buffett, we've talked about Lee Lu, and today we're going to be talking about Phil Town. So this is the time of the year when 13F filings come out for the previous quarter. So we've been looking at Q4 2021 numbers, and Phil Town, he actually doesn't furnish a 13F filing. So we actually have to go to the sec.gov website to go find his portfolio. It's not easy to do. And even when you do find it, it's not really easy to read, but in this video, I'm going to show you how to go find his portfolio on the sec.gov website. I'll also put a link down below on where you can find it. And then we're going to go through each one of his current positions that he has as of December 31st, 2021. And then we're also going to look at his option contracts that he has out there, which I always find pretty fascinating as well. If this is the first video you've watched of mine, my name is Justin Lenderink. I'm an accountant by day. I've been an accountant for about 20 years, and I'm a passionate investor. And I actually started out my investing strategy with Phil Town. I took his 3-day investing course. I've read his books. I'm a huge fan of Phil Town. I think he's fantastic. If you don't know a lot about him, he has the 4 M's. He has the meaning, he has the management, he has moat, and then margin of safety. So you want to have a company that meets all 4 of those in order to invest into it. And typically companies they invest into are companies that went through an event. So maybe something that wasn't their fault, or maybe it was their fault, but they're going to recover quickly from. So you always got to remember that the price of a stock is not the value of the company. They usually don't mesh up. So a company may be trading at, say, $200 a share, but it may only be worth $100 a share, it might be worth $300 a share. So he actually teaches you in his books and his investing course on how to do that. And I try to do that on this channel as well. So we're going to jump into the sec.gov website and kind of start out there. But before we do that, if you get any value out of this video, please smash that thumbs up button. It really helps out the channel a lot. I personally appreciate it. All right, so let's go to the sec.gov website first, and here we are. So it literally is just sec.gov. And so what you want to do is off to the top middle section, there is one that says search sec.gov. You can actually go to company filings. So if you click on that, then come down here, and then they have this company and person lookup. Click on there, and you want to go to World Funds Trust. You click on that, and then this should pop up. And again, you're looking for World Funds Trust. Click on that. And then you're going to get a list of filings. So there's a lot of different filings under the World Fund Trust. So you actually have to go find Phil Town's Rule 1 fund, which is not always easy to do. So unfortunately, you have to start just clicking on these. So the ones that say end port, I mean, there's all kinds of other stuff in here too. And you can see when the filing date was and the reporting date. So you actually, as part of these here, he filed on February 14th for December 31, 2021. And ironically, his is the last one right here. And again, you just have to keep clicking on until you find the right one. And how you know it's his is if you go down, it'll say name of series, and it'll say Rule 1 Fund. And again, I'll put a link to this page down below. If you just want to click on that link, it'll just bring you right to this section. Now, it is not easy to follow. I will tell you right off the bat. I mean, you literally just have to go through all kinds of different pages to kind of figure out what's kind of going on. So there's just a lot of stuff here. If you have time, I encourage you to kind of go through and take a look at it. But I took all this information in here and I put it into an Excel sheet, which we'll go over now. But this is where it is at. So now let's jump over to my spreadsheet real quick. And so what we're going to do here is we're going to go through each one of his current funds that he has. And what I did was I have this section right here that looks at the Q4 2021 numbers, off the section right here of the Q3 2021. So we can kind of see the difference between the 2 quarters to figure out if he's selling, he's buying, that sort of thing. So first off, I'll just say, his cash position last quarter as of Q3 was around 85 million. He had 78 million in investments. Not too different from right now. So his cash position is 77 million. So he actually spent some money this quarter, and his investments are 83 million overall. So let's just go through each one of these right now. And first one here is Bank OZK, and this will basically start from his biggest position and then kind of go down from there. So we have Bank OZK, which is ticker symbol OZK. This is a small bank that's kind of in the Midwest and a little out east. It's actually founder led. I actually owned this company for a little while. As of the end of December, it was trading at $46.53. It's 12% of his portfolio. No change. He did not sell. He did not buy. He just kind of kept it. I know for me personally, and I'm not a financial advisor, so always do your own research. But I come with an intrinsic value between $45 and $50 for Bank OZK, so it kind of seems like it's already there. But keep in mind that he bought this company in the low 20s. He even bought some under 20. So he's getting a nice kickback as far as dividends right now. And banks can actually do fairly well during inflation, which we're going to be seeing. So maybe he's kind of keeping that right now as we're seeing inflation go up. All right, so second one here is Alibaba, ticker symbol BABA. And as you saw by the thumbnail, it's gone up quite a bit. So he actually more than doubled down on his position. So it's gone up 190%. So as of the quarter three, he had 50,000 shares, and now he has 145,000 shares. So it went from 5% of his portfolio up to 11% of his portfolio. And I would venture to guess even right now, if we looked at his portfolio in February, this is probably his number one position at this point, because today it's trading, I think, around $126. So he believes in Alibaba. Obviously, Charlie Munger believes in Alibaba. I own Alibaba. I think it's a fantastic company. So it also gives me high conviction seeing Phil Town buy more of this company. And most people are familiar with Alibaba, but it is a Chinese e-commerce company. For me, the reason why I like Alibaba so much, now they have over 1 billion customers globally. They're not just in China. They have over 800 million customers in China, but they have over 1 billion if you look at it globally. The reason why I like Alibaba so much is their cloud-based business. Now, I came with a video here recently. I'll put it down in the description below as well, but I show how Alibaba is going to grow their operating margins from 8%, where it is right now, up over 13% over the next several years because of their cloud business. I think this is such an unsung hero and really the X factor of Alibaba. All right, so next up, let's talk about, oops, I can click on it right. Sprouts Farmers Market, ticker symbol SFM. No change here. He has 312,000 shares, same as the quarter before. The price has gone up from $23 to $29, so that's why it's gone up in his portfolio as far as total percentage his portfolio that is. So Sprouts Farmers Market is a grocery store chain. They focus on natural and organic foods. They're mostly kind of down in the Midwest, southern region, so they can actually expand quite a bit. Now, their roots are actually really a farmer's market, so their distribution makes it a little more difficult because they actually get a lot of their supplies, their fruits and vegetables and things like that from actual farmers in the region. So which is pretty cool. And I think Sprouts is undervalued. I think right now it's trading around $28 a share, and I think it's worth between $30 and $40 a share. So it definitely a really good company. Next up is Huntington Ingalls, ticker symbol HII. No change here, 44,000 shares, same as the period before. Huntington Ingalls is a ship builder. They're the only ones that make ships for the U.S. Navy, aircraft carriers, that is, and they're one of two companies that make submarines for the U.S. Navy as well. Now, for me personally, I actually sold out of Huntington Ingalls a couple of weeks ago. They ended up buying Alien Technologies in quarter four, and they brought on $1.6 billion. And I just felt that that was just too much money with a market cap of being $8 billion. That's just a lot of debt that they're taking on. And a big thing with Huntington Ingalls, they pay a good dividend. Their dividend has gone up 20% per year over the last 5 years. And now with this debt coming on, I just don't think they're going to be able to increase their dividend or buy back as many shares as they used to do. But definitely a company that has a solid moat overall. Next up is Armada Hoffler. No change here, 433,000 shares, just like last quarter. It has gone up, so it was around $13 a share. As of the last quarter, it was $15 a share. This is a REIT. This is a company that owns real estate. I don't know a ton about this company. Obviously, Phil Town likes it. He's been holding for a while. He kind of bought when the whole market crashed around March of 2020. But again, I don't know too much about that company overall. Next up is CF Industries. It's gone down 72%. So he's been selling this stock quite a bit. He had 220,000 shares and he had 61,000. It's gone up a lot. So I think his cost basis was under $30 or right around there, and it's trading at $68 today. So he's been selling a lot of calls, and so he's been slowly kind of dumping his shares overall on this. So, and if you're not too familiar with CF Industries, they're actually a fertilizer company, and they're a very low cost based business compared to their competitors. That's kind of where their moat comes in. But it looks like he's just trying to trade this stock off slowly. Next up is Boeing. And I got to say, this one was really confusing to me. If you've been following Phil Town at all, in one of his podcasts, he said he sold Boeing. I thought he said so I assumed he sold all of his Boeing stock, but there's no change. He has 20,000 shares last quarter, 20,000 this quarter. So I guess I'm surprised. I thought he sold out of this position. And if you don't know, and if Boeing, if you're unfamiliar with that company, they're a big airline jet commercial company. They also have government contracts. They make fighter jets for the government as well. They've been hit really hard with the airline restrictions that we've seen over the last 2 years. And Phil Town talked about in one of his podcasts a few months ago that he didn't like that they were holding on to cash. They weren't releasing that cash and trying to pay down their debt. And so that really concerned him. And so I thought he sold out, but it looks the same to me here. But we'll see some more stuff in the options, which will be coming up here in a bit too with Boeing. Next up is Sturm Ruger and Company. This is a firearm and ammunition company. No change here. 61,000 shares last quarter, 61,000 this quarter. He has been trying to unload this company. He's been selling a lot of call options. Looks like none of them got called away from him, but he has been trying to sell this company. Next up, we are going to take a look at Spider Gold ETF, ticker symbol GLD. No change here, 30,500 shares last quarter and this quarter. So this is just a gold ETF. You've been following Phil Town. He strongly believes that inflation is going to increase, which is going to increase interest rates. And a good safe haven is gold and silver. So that's why he's been buying into gold, which gets us to the next one too, which is Barrick Gold. So this is a gold miner. This is a company that Warren Buffett actually had bought into. I think he sold all his shares, or one of his lieutenants did in the last year. But there's no change on this one. 150,000 shares last quarter, 150,000 this quarter. Next one up is another hedge against inflation, and this is a silver ETF. There's some change here, so it's actually gone down. So it went from 115,000 shares down to 100,000. So maybe he sold some calls, trying to collect some premiums, and some got called away from him. I'm not really sure. But you can see his three positions here, which are roughly 6% of his portfolio, is a hedge against inflation. Something I want to point out too is when I go onto the SEC.gov website, it gives me the total assets of his portfolio, which is 157 million. But when I go through and I counted up everything they had on there was 160 million. So there's like a $2.8 million difference. The only thing I can figure out has to do with his option contracts. Because when I look on SEC.gov website, it has total liabilities of 340,000, which doesn't seem like that's enough as option contract. So I don't know if this is the difference of maybe on his gains and losses of his option contracts that he has. That's the only thing I can think about. At some point here, he'll be coming with his really nice rule fund package, and we can look through there and really determine kind of why there's a difference there. But I just wanted to point that out overall. So now let's go take a look at his options and kind of see where his option contracts were. All right, so the first one, I thought this one was kind of cool. This is Activision Blizzard, ticker symbol ATVI. So this is a put. He wrote the contract itself at a strike price of $57, expiration of December 31st. So this is a company, actually, I did put options as well. If you follow my channel at all, I did them at $55. So it really gives me really high conviction that, I've been learning from Phil Town. I have some of the same thought process as him, that I would have written a put option about the same price that he did. So mine did not get put to me because the stop price rose after Microsoft came out and said they're going to buy them out. So I'm imagining that Phil Town did not get these from him as well, especially since they expired on the 31st anyway. Next up is Boeing. So he has a call here. So he sold a call on Boeing. So I think, again, he's trying to get rid of his Boeing position. I thought he already got rid of it. Strike price of around $205, expiration of end of December. Next up here is Alibaba. So he's trying to get more BABA, which is pretty interesting since it's already over 10% of his portfolio. So he must have very high conviction on Alibaba overall. Strike price of $100. Now, it has not gotten down to that price yet. So he got to collect those premiums on it, which were probably pretty good, I would imagine. The ones on Bob have been pretty good lately. Next up is Sprouts Farmers Market. So he has some more put options that he has sold at $27.50, and it's been hanging around there. So these could have been put to him. It would, it was pretty darn close. If not, he collected those premiums there. Next up, we're going to take a look at Boeing. So more he sold. He sold these at $170 strike price. And so when I first saw this, I was like, I don't understand. He's been talking about dumping Boeing. Why is he selling more put options? So he's got put options here. He's got put options here. But then I took a look at this next portion, and it kind of gives us a different idea. So he actually bought some puts. So he sold some puts at 170. He bought some puts at 165. So he's doing something unique here. So what he is doing is actually a put credit spread on this particular company. So learning from Phil Town, he usually teaches doing put credit spreads on different index funds. It could be the Russell, maybe it's S&P 500, it could be the Dow. Usually it's the Russell just because there's more volatility there and you get some more premiums. But he also does do sometimes some stocks, and that's what he's doing here. So essentially what he is doing here is he's betting that the stock is going to be above $170 by January 7, 2022. And then why he sells some put options is for some protection. If for some reason, if we're to drop and go below that, he has some protection there. But overall, he's just trying to guess or assume that it's going to be above the 170 mark. So that's kind of what he's doing there. Next up is Alibaba. This is calls. He bought some calls. This was a little surprising. He bought some calls at $85 going out to June 2023. So essentially what he's doing is kind of like selling a put all the way out into June. So essentially what he's trying to do here is he strongly believes that Alibaba is not going to be below $85 a share by June 16, 2023. And last one is iShares Silver, ticker symbol SLV. He sold some calls here at $22. So interesting. So we've already seen him actually reduce his iShares Silver position. So if these get called away from him, that'd be reducing it even further. So maybe he's just trying to drum up some premiums at this time. Who knows? But that's his option contract. So pretty interesting. And I gotta say, there was not a whole lot of change in his portfolio. Yes, he definitely increased his Alibaba position. He decreased his CF Industries, decreased his silver ETF. But overall, there's not a whole lot of movement that is going on here. He's still holding a ton of cash. You're talking 77 million. And so that's over half his portfolio. Let's see, or is it quite half? It's 48%. So about half of his portfolio is in cash. And if you've been following him, he definitely believes with inflation going up, it's going to hurt the market, a lot of volatility in the market, and it could lead to a market pullback or recession, which may decrease prices of shares, and maybe that might be an opportunity to go and buy. All right, so next up, let's go take a look at his Rule 1 fund, and we're going to compare it against the S&P 500 to see which ones had the best returns for the year of 2021. I know for me personally, I follow Phil Town. I like his strategy. I like a lot of the companies that he buys into. And so for me, I want to see how his portfolio does against the market, especially if I'm going to follow him and use some of his strategies. We're going to do that right now. And you can see I've done this in previous videos. So through the first 3 quarters, his portfolio was up about 12% through Q3. So now we're going to take a look at what his portfolio did for October, November, and December, and then we're going to compare it to the total of the S&P 500. So for October, his portfolio was up 1%, while the S&P 500 was up 7%. For November, his portfolio was down 3%. S&P 500 was down less than 1% for December. His portfolio was up 2%, market was up 4%. So what were the Q4 numbers? So his portfolio was flat and the S&P 500 was up 11%. So what does that mean year to date? So year to date, S&P 500 was up 28% and he was up 13% for his portfolio. So I have very, very high conviction that these numbers are right looking at his portfolio. Hopefully we'll find out more when he actually releases his Roll One fund package, and it kind of talks more about his portfolio returns, that something like that. But I would expect his portfolio to be around, say 12, 13% for the year 2021. So that's less than half what the market is now. Keep in mind that his cash position is half of his portfolio. So I would, just from a, apples to apples comparison, I would expect him to be half of the market anyway, or half of what the index did, because he's keeping so much money in cash. So keep in mind, he's a long-term investor, so he doesn't care what he did in 1 year or 2 years, maybe even 3 years. He's really looking at long-term, 5, 7, 10 years. He wants to beat the market, and he's using that or holding that cash, waiting for a big pullback to unleash some of that money. And so maybe he unleashed some during Q1. Here recently, we saw a pullback in late January into early February, even some of the volatility here lately. So I would love to hear from you guys. I mean, what do you think about his portfolio? What do you think the changes that he made, which was not a whole lot this quarter? What about his option contracts? Activision Blizzard contract, pretty interesting there. What do you think about his portfolio increasing about 13% compared to S&P 500 going up around 28%? Love to hear from you guys. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you on the other side. Take care and God bless.